My name is Zhou from the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and today I'm going to present my work titled Picking Up My Tab, Understanding and Mitigating Synchronized Token Lifting and Spending in Mobile Payment. This work is co-led with Xiaolong from the Tsinghua University, and it's a joint work with XiaoFeng, Zhou, Xianghang, Nan, Tongxin, and Shi-Min and Kehuan. Okay, today mobile payment brings us a convenient life. And mobile payment is nearly everywhere. Last year, there were over 5 trillion US dollar transactions happened over the mobile payment transaction. You can pay with your iPhone via Apple Pay, and you can use your Samsung phone to pay via Samsung Pay. And if you use neither of them, you can download a third-party mobile payment application and pay at a counter by scanning QR code. And you can pay at vending machines through Samsung Pay. And you can scan QR code to pay to the taxi driver. And you can scan the QR code of your friend's phone to transfer money. All making our life more convenient. And among the mobile payment schemes, there is one kind named offline, where the mobile phone the user is going to pay doesn't need network, but the POS machine must be connected to communicate with the backend server. And there are a lot of advantages. The most important one is short delay. And it can also avoid poor network connection, which often happen inside rooms. And the offline mobile payment is very easy to use. There is no need for the customer to enter password. And the customer need only simply approach his phone to the POS machine to complete the transaction. And let's have a look at what happened behind the offline mobile payment system. Once the user taps the pay button on the mobile payment app, the application will immediately generate a token for the user by hashing the user ID, the current time, and the pre-shared secret. And then send the token to the POS machine via one of the channels selected by the user. The channels can be either sound, QR code, or even magnetic signal. And the POS machine will decode the token from the signal and then pass the token to backend server for verification. The server, once received the token, will retrieve the user ID from the token and then query the database to get the pre-shared secret, and by using the same hash algorithm to generate exactly the same token for the user, and then compare the received one with the generated one. If they are exactly matched, the server returns an acceptance to the POS machine, and the POS machine will notify the vendors if the transaction is successful and printed a recipient for the vendor. In fact, there are already security guarantees for the offline mobile payment scheme. Through hashing, the token is bounded to the time when the token is generated, and the user ID, and the token cannot be easily forged without a synchronized secret. And the tokens are designed to be hard to be sniffed because token transportation is distance bounded. And even if a token is sniffed, there are still protections. The offline mobile payment system assumes passive adversaries. So if there is a passive adversary standing close to the POS machine, during the transaction, the token can be sniffed by the passive adversary. However, at the same time, the token is also received by the POS machine, and it will be immediately sent back to the backend server for verification, and the server will immediately invalidate this token. So the token, though can sniffed by the attacker, can no longer be used to launch an attack. However, we found that the scheme can be easily bricked by an active adversary. For an active adversary, she can not only sniff the token during the transaction, she can also disconnect the POS machine. And after that, she can send the token to his colluder for spending. Based on this observation, we proposed STLS attacks, standing for Synchronized Token Lifting and the Spending Attack. They mainly follow the similar routines. The first step is to acquire a live token during the transaction, and then the attack prevented from being legally used by the POS machine, and then the attack spend it at another place before it expires. We launched our attacks targeting Samsung Pay and AliPay. And for the AliPay, we targeted two channels, one for QR code and one for sound pay. And for the QR code, we demonstrated two kinds of attacks. Okay, firstly, for Samsung Pay, we know that both Samsung and Apple use NFC to do payment, but NFC is now very popular. This is especially true for the United States of America, as a lot of POS machines here are not NFC supported. So Samsung, after acquired the MST technology, promoted mobile payment by introducing the MST technique. MST is designed for full compatibility to the traditional POS machine. A Samsung phone can broadcast a magnetic signal carrying a token with the help of a coil at the back of the phone that is designed to do wireless charging. And the magnetic signal can be received by traditional POS machines that were designed to support only magnetic card, because there is a magnetic head on the POS machine. And the POS machine fails if the customer is swiping a magnetic card when receiving the magnetic signal broadcasted by the phone. In fact, there are already known attacks against the Samsung Pay. Previous paper proven that tokens of Samsung Pay can be easily sniffed and replayed. But today only assumed a passive attacker, so the legal transaction is not interrupted. So the sniffed token is not alive immediately after the sniffing. So Samsung Pay users are still secure enough. However, we found that Samsung Pay users are not secured at all. For an active attacker who is standing close to the POS machine can not only sniff the magnetic signal but also jam the network the POS machine uses to connect with the backend server. We reconfirmed that the magnetic signal broadcasted by a Samsung phone can be received by a further distance than the officially claimed one, that is 2 meters away, by a man-made coil antenna. And at the same time, the active attacker can disconnect the POS machine by simply turning on a commercial jammer, network jammer. And at the same time, the token can be decoded from the signal captured by the man-made antenna, and then the attacker can send the token to her colluder for replay. The colluder, once received the token, can write it into a magnetic strip card and then swipe the magnetic strip card at a valid POS machine. As a result, the money from the victim was stolen by the attacker, by the active attacker. Those pictures shows the devices we used to launch the attack. This is a computer running the decoding software to decode the token received from the antenna, and the antenna is a man-made coil antenna that is as large as the notebook computer, which can all be packed into a backpack. Besides Samsung Pay, we also targeted Sound Pay. Sound Pay is usually adopted by vending machines. When a user is going to pay with Samsung Pay. The application immediately generates a token for the user and then modulated the token into a clip of audio and then play this clip of audio. And the audio can be received by the vending machine. And the vending machine can decode the token from the audio, from the recorded audio, and then send the token to backend server for verification. And when the backend server returns acceptance of the transaction, the vending machine can deliver the goods purchased by the user, by the customer. However, when there is an active attacker who can not only sniff the sound channel but also jam the network the vending machine uses to communicate with the backend server, the attacker can launch a STLS attack. The first step of the attack is sniffing. Once the customer generated the token and playing the clip of audio, at the same time the active attacker can also record to acquire the audio containing the token, and then she can immediately turn on a jammer to jam the network between the vending machine and the service provider, and then she needed just send the recording to his colluder, who can play the recording at another vending machine to use this token. And once the token is verified by the server, the vending machine can deliver goods. Okay, we also targeted QR code pay. QR code pay is an extremely popular payment method, especially in China. And then the QR code payment includes two modes. The first one is B2S mode and the second one is B2L mode. For the B2S mode, a phone scans the QR code printed by the vendor on paper to pay. And in the B2L mode, a phone presents the QR code generated on the screen and put the screen under the post scanner to pay to the vendor. And our attack focuses on the B2L mode. Okay, for the attack, we assume that the payer's phone is infected with the attack's malware. And the malware has a front camera privilege. So the malware can turn on the front camera to sniff the QR code. And the malware can display a floating window to prevent the token from being legally used. So when a malware detected that the phone is presenting a QR code to pay, it can immediately turn on the front camera to see the reflection from the glass of the post scanner. So by taking a photo using the front camera, the reflection can be acquired and the QR code can be inside the picture can be decoded. So the malware successfully get a token, and the token can be sent to a remote colluder for spending. And at the same time, the malware should prevent the token from legally scanned by the post machine. The malware can simply draw a white block at the positioning mark of the QR code to prevent it from being scanned by the post scanner. The positioning mark is critical for QR code decoding. So the post machine can no longer decode the QR code once the white block is drawn, overlaid the QR code. So with this technique, the sniffed QR code is kept alive and allow the colluder of the attacker to spend it during this period. And you may not use Android phone, which supports the background front camera photo shooting, we know that most of the time in iPhone, the background front camera shooting is not allowed. And I believe as you guys are all security experts, so your phone, even if it's an Android phone, may not be infected, but you're still vulnerable because the mobile payment also supports a P2P mode, where a phone can scan the QR code displayed by another phone to transfer money between the two phones. And the QR code generated can be used in both P2P mode and P2L mode. Just to say, by tapping the button on the mobile payment app, if it is scanned by your friend phone will enter the transfer mode. If it is scanned by the post scanner, it can be used by the vendor to do payment. So in this attack, we don't assume the victim is infected with malware. However, we assume that the payer is infected with attacker's malware, and the malware has an exactly same UI with the legal payment application, which allow the attacker to sniff the QR code during the P2P scanning, and the victim has turned on the Bluetooth, which allow the attacker to prevent the QR code from being legally spent. Okay, when the malware detected that the payment application is on the foreground and the camera is turned on, he immediately jumped to the foreground to substitute the legal mobile payment app and take a photo using the back camera to sniff the QR code. And the token inside the QR code can be successfully decoded. So the sniffing is not difficult, but how can the attacker prevent it from being legally used? So immediately the malware can launch a Bluetooth pairing request to the nearest phone. So after that, both phones will display windows showing a confirmation window asking for the confirmation from users to confirm the Bluetooth pairing request. And immediately the malware cancels the pairing request. So the window will disappear. However, during this process, the QR code displayed on the payee's phone will refresh. So the sniffed QR code will be kept alive, and the newly generated QR code will make the later legal transaction go on. So during this time, the sniffed QR code can be sent to a remote colluder for spending. And we reported this attack to AliPay. AliPay immediately ceased the P2P transfers through the QR code in this February. And the face-to-face money transfer moved to printed QR code. So users can get an exclusive QR code for receiving money after the application rather than a dynamically generated one. To defend all the STLS attacks, we proposed POSAUTH to restrict the use of sniffed tokens. We know that a live token, once sniffed, can be spent by the attacker at anywhere with the upper bound amount of money. But once the token is bounded to the POS machine ID, the sniffed token cannot be spent anywhere remotely. So we proposed that the POS ID should be integrated into the message of the hash that generates the token. And the server should also verify if the POS ID inside the token matches the one sent by the POS machine. However, there is a challenge that how can the application get the POS machine ID? As the channels used to transport the token are directional. So usually through this channel, the application cannot get information from the POS machine. So we proposed that at the back of the POS machine, there can be a printed QR code containing the POS machine ID. And when the phone is under the scanner to pay, the phone can firstly scan the QR code at the backside of the POS machine, and then acquire decode the POS ID from the QR code, and then generate a token by integrating the POS ID. And then the generated token can be encoded into QR code and then scanned by the POS machine to go on the transaction. In this case, no hardware upgrade is required. Vendors need only print his POS machine ID and stick the paper on the back of the POS machine. Okay, we found that. So as a summary, we found that offline payment schemes only considered the passive attackers. So an active attacker can keep the sniffed token alive by interrupting the transaction, the legal transaction, and the attacker can spend the token before it expires at another place to steal the money from the victim. Okay, that's the end of my presentation. Any question?
So there's time for questions. Again, please feel free to use the microphone if you have some. I'll go with the microphone. Yeah, please use the microphone. And state your name too.
Daniel Sokolov from Heise Media. You first talked about the attack on Samsung Pay.
Yeah.
And if I understood correctly, you wrote the token information onto a magnetic strip and then used that to pay?
Yeah.
Wouldn't the defense be very simple to just not accept the same kind of token on a magnetic strip that you use for phone payments?
Oh, in fact, the POS machine doesn't know if the magnetic signal received by head is from a phone or from a magnetic strip card.
Okay. So, but with NFC payments, it wouldn't work.
Sorry?
With NFC payments, this attack does not work.
Yeah, in the NFC payments, in fact, there are challenge response. So it is not an offline token.
Great. Do we have more questions? If not, I do have one question. You mentioned you talked with AliPay and then they changed they implemented some of the defenses you suggested. I'm a little curious about how that interaction with them went, because it sounds like the implementing your defense required them to change their use cases a little bit. So some activities they couldn't support wells before. Maybe I misunderstood that, but here's a little bit more information about the interaction with AliPay.
In fact, AliPay seized the P2P transaction immediately after we reported the attack. And as their defense, they simply discontinued the function. So they didn't deploy our POSAUTH defense.
Okay, very cool. More questions? If not, let's thank the speaker.